Fans, I have a blue chip of a special guest today. None other than Gary Mullen, who played at WVU, and Gary had a legendary career in the AFL at the professional level after being a Mountaineer. He is a Hall of Famer. He's a four-time Arena Bowl champion. Great guy. So you're gonna love our interview today. That's my special guest, Gary Mullen. Boy, boy, boy. Listen, I've been waiting for this for a minute. I don't even know how to introduce you, my man, because you already know, dude. I told you before, Gary, I have so much respect for you. So I'm gonna do it like this, because I know you humble. So please let me just do this, please.
You got it.
All right. Listen, Gary Mullen has to be, in my opinion, one of the greatest players to play a position that I respect. He played wide receiver at WVU. This man is a four-time champion in the AFL. This man is an AFL Hall of Famer. This man was the MVP, I believe. Was it the third Arena Bowl that you played in? Is that correct?
The very first one.
The very first one.
Yes.
MVP of the very first championship game in the AFL. Legendary. Man, Gary, thank you so much for being on my show, bro. Trust me, you have no idea how much this means to me personally.
Well, thank you for having me on. I think you're being a little too generous, but I'll take it.
Not at all. Not at all. I thought about this for a while, and here's the thing that I think student athletes and athletes in general don't understand. When you're blessed to play and put a uniform on after college, that's an honor and a privilege. How many people get to play or put a uniform on after college?
Correct.
So I keep it in perspective.
It's a blessing, trust me. And it doesn't happen too often. People think it may, happen quite often, but it doesn't. I don't care what level it is. It's a blessing. It takes a lot of work. You got to be lucky, and a lot of things got to fall into place. So
absolutely,
and not always the best player. Not always the best players get to play at the next level. You got to be lucky. You got to be at the right time, right spot, and you got to work hard. So, I was just blessed to be in that situation, and I took advantage of it.
Well, listen, to advance to the point where you got 4 rings in a Hall of Fame, and a Hall of Fame career out of it, man. That's a beautiful thing.
And I appreciate that. I played with a lot of great players. I had a lot of guys playing arena football from the NFL was on my team, so that made it a lot easier. And we had a solid, big time coach, and all the players. One thing about winning and being on a championship team, each player will hold the other player accountable, and that's what you need out of a winning team. Each player holding each other accountable.
Right.
Once you get that, you got your championship team.
Right.
It's not an I thing. It's a team thing. So there's what they say, no I in team.
Right.
So that's what it was about.
I got a few questions for you. Your college career at WVU, obviously the recruiting process is so different now, as we both know that. When you chose West Virginia, what was one of the main reasons why you picked WVU?
One of the reasons it was close to home. It was close to home, and then also I had a connection with the coach that was recruiting me. Him and my high school coach, they got along pretty well. So and then I had I had a good time at my on my visit. I felt comfortable there, and also at West Virginia, Neil, that was it would have been Nealon's first recruiting class. So I had an
Wow.
opportunity. Told me I had an opportunity to play, and not also not all also have opportunity to play, but to start something and make a foundation for the university.
Wow.
And so it happened that's what happened, actually.
Wow. The process of well, your thought process in playing a position like receiver, where, like you said, your ability to make plays, you have to depend on a quarterback that can get you
Right.
the ball. Obviously, the quarterback has to depend on the offensive line, all these different things. In me watch, first off, I remember those early years at West Virginia and those teams that you played on. I guess I can call myself a historian, I guess. So
All
back,
right.
I was watching West Virginia and Penn State and Pitt and all that good stuff. And you never cease to amaze me, man. Listen, that's why I guess I have so much respect for you as a player. Then I get a chance to meet you as a person. And God knows, man, I'm humbled. But my question to you, do you see a lot of that accountability in current day student athletes?
I'm not involved like that, so to be honest, I really can't say. I know things are a whole lot different. I'll tell you that. Um, our situation was totally different because we had an athletic dorm, and
Mm.
so we had to be we had to either get along or get out, one of the two. So so we had to get along. We found a way to get along, and so that I would say um, produced an awesome foundation for West Virginia. And the reason
Mm.
why I say that is when back then you could recruit as many, you can have as many scholarships as possible, right? And I was Coach Nealon's first recruiting class, right? And the class of '81, probably it was the most winningest class up until I think maybe Pat White in them class. All right. And the reason for that, if it wasn't for the '81 class, it wouldn't have been a Pat White class. It wouldn't have been a Major Harris. And the reason why I said that, say this is because 1981, and this is probably unheard of even today, we had 15 freshmen letter that year.
Mm.
15 freshmen. Now,
Yeah.
West Virginia, they had good players. They had, Daryl Talley and Dennis Folk, Cedric King. They had some players. Daryl Miller, probably one of the best receivers I ever seen in my life. But they didn't have any depth. And with our 15 seniors, our 15 freshmen coming in playing and getting that foundation allowed the future of West Virginia football to develop.
Mm-hmm.
So guys like Major Harris and you had Harvey Smith.
Right.
Those guys didn't have to come in and produce. They had a year or two to develop, and from that's how you got the '88 national championship game.
Yeah.
I guess before that they played. You guys played, I think Florida.
It was after.
Was that after '88?
It was that was Was it 93?
'92 or something like that? I think.
93. Yeah.
Yes, but so getting back to that with that 18 with those 15 freshmen playing, 15 freshmen playing our freshman year in '81. Man, that took a lot of pressure off the upcoming classes. So and we and matter of fact, I would say Don Nealon, not only did he that was a grand slam. That was his first year. That was a
Yeah.
grand slam that he hit to have 15 freshmen either start or letter. And then 2 years later, we had an opportunity, my junior and senior year, to we had an opportunity to play in the national championship. We lost. I think when we lost to Miami, we were ranked fourth.
Mm.
And Miami ended up ended up winning the national championship that year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we had the number 3 defense or something like that in the country at the time. And then my senior year, I think we were like fourth or fifth, and we ended up losing our last 3 games. We got a lot of guys got injured against the Virginia game. We lost that game, and then I think we lost focus and lost to Rutgers and Temple. So
Wow.
yeah.
But see, what you're saying is that foundation. I always say this: it doesn't matter what you're doing in life. If it's business, in this case, we're talking sports. When you have a sound foundation to build on, that's a beautiful thing. And you're 100% right. You're talking about 12, 13, 14, 15 freshmen that are playing and lettered. That means you guys were being developed.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that's what you wind up getting 3 and 4 years down the road. Unfortunately, that's a hard, I don't see that the way that I saw it even my years there. Coach Nealon did a heck of a job recruiting. The depth was just insane my years at West Virginia. So to your point, you're 100% right, Gary. Like, you can see why WVU amassed such a legitimately, I think we're still in the top 15 of winningest programs of all time in the history of college football. But to your point, when you have that kind of foundation and you're getting the right guys and you can develop those guys, that's something different.
And see, what I'm saying, and when I was recruiting my freshman year, and Penn State offered me a scholarship early in December, and they told me I wasn't going to play because at Penn State, you come in as a freshman, you redshirt.
Yeah.
So they can stack all those players.
Yep.
They started at before I got there, we didn't beat Penn State until my senior year, and that was like 26 years. So when you can get a foundation like that, when you can give out 120 scholarships, and your 25 freshmen coming in, they could be 4 or 5-star players, but they don't step on the field.
Right.
4 years, 3 or 4 years down the road, you playing for the national championship. So I give Nealon, I give him credit for that. When he played, we were, I'm not going to say the guinea pigs, but we set the foundation for what West Virginia is today, and what they expect out of their program today is because of the 1981 class. And I was talking to a few other guys last week, and I think we came up with about 15 or 16. We had another junior college transfer, Greg McGowan. He came in with us in 81, and Bill Lay was red-shirted, so he was in an 81 class. He came in 82, but red-shirted. Yes.
Wow. Now I remember, obviously, most of those guys, especially Bill Lay, because he was around in my era.
Right.
He was on the staff as a grad assistant, if I can remember correctly. So I know, well, now, of course, a legendary coaching career, which is interesting because, again, you're talking about from that foundation, and that's what it's all about. When you look at all these guys who went on to do great things, the tutelage from that.
Right.
That's something that you can't put a price tag on. And that's the reason why having you on my show means so much to me, because you're talking about legacy, man.
Yes,
and
sir.
again, I know you humble. I know you're a humble guy, Gary. I love you for it. But you talking about legacy. And this is the reason why I want these young people to understand. It's hard you can't create a Gary Mullen. What you are and what you were as a player, you are as a person. There's something to be said about that. The character of the man, there's something to be said about that.
Right.
So that's why I'm hoping my show and interviews with people like yourself, it goes further than just talking sports. How did you take the success that you had on the field, off the field, and continue to move in life after you retired from playing? Because I
Well,
know for me, the transition wasn't difficult, but for other people, I see it's real hard to do.
I would say, I mean, not difficult, but it's challenging for, I say for any athlete, um, because you always, well, it's always, it's challenging period. Life is challenging period, right? And but when things get tough, you always go back to different lessons that you learn from either from a coach, or situations that you had with players, or situations you had playing football. So it, it, it I would say to any person raising a child, to get them involved in a team sport, not individual sport, a team sport, right? Or anything that has to do with three or more people, because then you are accountable not only for yourself, but also for others, and you can be held accountable. And and it's funny that you even said that about uh, transitioning. So you had Harvey Smith on a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And he said all these glowing things about me, and I laughed and I laughed and I laugh about that, because it was a day that I was having a tough time, right? And I get a call, and I guess I haven't talked to Harv in maybe a couple years, and I
Right.
get a call from Harv, and he said, "What's up? We talking?" He said, "Man, I want to call you, and I want to say this to you. We need to communicate these things, not hold them." And he explained to me how I helped him when he was a walk-on, right? And I never knew that. I was
Wow.
helping him because he was a teammate, he was a brother of mine, and I grew up where if you are a part of the village,
Right.
you're going to get help, right?
Right.
If you're a part of the village, you're going to get help. And every question, everything that he asked, I answered for him. And and but I was doing that because that's what you're supposed to do. Period. That's what you're supposed to do. And also you're trying to win, right? So if I go down, next man got to step up. So Harv, you
Right.
got to be ready.
Right. And be
You know,
and be prepared.
and
See,
then
that's what I'm
and
talking.
another thing about that situation, I tease Harvey about this all the time. And he said, "But Blue, man, I'm so thankful for you." I said, "Well, Harvey's from Pittsburgh. I'm from the Pittsburgh area."
Right.
And I told him, now, I was only helping him. One of the reasons why I was helping him is so I can get free ride home from.
And I could see, yeah, you I could, and you're teasing them about that.
Right, I teased him like, Harv, I needed a ride home, so I knew you were my ticket away from home on the weekends in the off season. So,
Wow, wow,
but
wow.
man, he's a super guy, and I didn't know he would. I didn't, even so when I left, I didn't really, I didn't really follow WVU like now when you got down all this downtime. But I didn't know he ended up being the captain and
Right.
shit. Ooh, excuse my language, curse.
That's
But
okay.
his career was a whole lot better than mine, and I thought I was the ish. and, he, and he told me how many touchdowns, and he was the captain. I was like, man, Hart, I think you owe me some money for all that. But yes, the experience, the college experience is nothing like it. It's more about camaraderie. When the football is over, when the guys get together, it's not about the football. It's all
Right.
about It's all about the things that happen off the field. The tough times that we have, things that go on in our personal life, families at home. That's what was real about that college experience at West Virginia.
Yeah, and I can echo that. And for me, being able to reach back to legendary players like yourself and to have that connection, because even though we didn't play during the same time period, we both wore that uniform.
Right, exactly.
That camaraderie, that once a Mountaineer, always a Mountaineer, that brotherhood is so important, man. And that's why I appreciate it so much, and I will never take that for granted.
And I will say this. I don't know how to put this in this conversation, but I'll say this. When I came in, well, I don't know how to put it. I'll put it like this. A lot of credit goes to Coach Nealon and the staff that he brought together, and some of the lessons that he taught us. But Garrett Ford, our academic advisor,
yes,
I mean, he gets. I mean, it should be a statue for this guy, and I mean that.
Absolutely.
Right? And I really mean that, because without him being there, a lot of us guys wouldn't have stayed.
Right.
Him being an academic advisor, advising us, and also us. And I'm gonna just be straight up honest. A lot of us coming from the inner city,
right,
and different backgrounds, coming to Morgantown, West Virginia. It was a culture shock.
Right.
And with him being there, helping us through that, advising us, making sure we went to class, and making sure we did the right thing, and we could come to him with any issue,
right,
and he would help us through it. And I honestly believe, we called him Coach Ford. He coached long before we got there, but he was our academic advisor. Yep. And he was tremendous for all of us.
Absolutely. I spoke with Coach Ford many times, was in his office many times, just mulling over different things. And me being from Jersey City, New Jersey, absolutely. So I echo every sentiment, everything you just said. You're 100% correct. And I think any player, I don't care what, during his time there, he's helped pretty much every player that's going to his office. You came out of there with the tutelage and the guidance that you needed.
Exactly.
So I totally agree. Exactly. Listen, in closing, I have about a minute left. Let me ask you a question, brother, real quick. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give a would-be student athlete being recruited in this current time period? What advice would you give them?
Ooh, what would I say to them? Man, it is so different now. I would say, I would say, look to see who have a strong alumni base. Mm. Look to see who have a strong alumni base, because when that's over, that's what you have to lean on.
That's a good point.
When all that football is said and done, when you go out there looking for work or a career, you should be able to pick up a phone and call your alumni and say, "Hey, this is where I am. Can you help me?" And if your if that alumni base is not that strong, you better move on. And that's the only advice I have to say. So when you talk about the Alabamas and the Penn States and who else? The Georgias, right? Oops. Are we there?
Yep.
Oh man, I lost the picture. But anyway, I live here in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you're a ball player in Atlanta, Georgia, for a Georgia Bulldogs,
Mm-hmm.
When your career is over, you don't have to worry about any work.
Wow. Wow.
I lost the video.
No, you good. I can see you on my end. You good.
Oh, you can see me? Okay. So
That's important.
so that's what I would say. Make sure that that alumni base is supportive and is strong.
Wow. No, I appreciate that. Gary, man, thank you so much for being on, brother. I appreciate you. And I will be back in touch. I
Okay,
will
good, good. And get some of them older guys on it on here.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm working on it. Trust me. Gary, I appreciate you, brother. Listen, man.
And I appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You got it. Take care, man.
Thanks.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Bye-bye. What did I tell you, Mountaineer fans? Gary is something else, man. He was a great player, and as you can hear, even greater person off the field. His time at WVU was legendary, just as his professional career was in the AFL. So he was my special guest today. I hope you liked what he had to say. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I'll be back next week with another special guest. Let's go, Mountaineers.